Are you looking for the Beast Very Toasters? In this video we will look at some of the 5 Beast Very Toasters on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1, KitchenAid 2-slice toaster with manual lift lever. Since I've added this toaster to my kitchen, I've been quite impressed. It's not the sleekest looking one I've tried out. I used to own a Smeg, and have tested out the Balmuda steam oven, too, both of which happen to be particularly attractive and which I highlight below. But it is the best, and, I should note, it's not at all ugly. The extra wide slots work just as well for pre-sliced bread as they do for thicker pieces I cut myself, and they fit bagels, too, for which there's a dedicated setting. Most imperative to me, it browns bread incredibly evenly, both across the slices and on both sides, a function that, for some reason, many toasters seem to fail at. It's also very fast, never taking more than a couple of minutes to pop. There are 5 browning levels, and I find a 2 or 3 delivers the results I want. Pardilla has owned the KitchenAid for over a year and loves it, too. She makes toast in it multiple times a week, and has put it through the ringer at big family brunches where she's made many rounds in a row. The high lift lever means I'm able to delicately take toast from the top without having to play the saddest game of hot potato, she says. Plus, it lets out an assertive beep when toast is ready, so I never have to chew through cold toast because I couldn't hear a ding. Number 2, Black Plus Decker Rapid Toast 2-slice toaster. The Black Plus Decker Rapid Toast is quite cheap, has the slimmest profile of any on this list, and comes with only basic settings, making it a good option for those who don't want to spend too much, need something space-saving, and don't require a bunch of bells and whistles. But its main selling point is that it's fast. No small deal for busy weekday mornings and quick-fix snacks. Pardilla says on the first setting, her slices went in and came out before she could blink, but were still a bit pale for her taste. The second setting gave her browner edges, and the third produced a golden center. She notes that while the slots may look small at first glance, they are actually extra wide with self-centering guides to ensure an even toasting on both sides. Alexandra Scheitzman of the New Baguette has the older, similarly oblong-shaped version with the same extra lift lever, which helps her grab English muffins without using tongs. The only caveat is that the crumb catcher on the bottom has to be pried off, pulled sideways, then lifted up. This takes a little elbow grease, Pardilla says, but not so much so as to be a problem. You get the hang of it after a couple of tries. Number 3, Breville Die-Cast 4-slice long slot smart toaster. The standout feature of this toaster is its extra long slots meant to hold up to 4 slices, or to accommodate extra long slices that might come from an artisanal sourdough loaf, as opposed to a pre-sliced grocery store bread. As someone who buys the former type frequently, this appeals to me big time. In smaller toasters, I often have to toast one side, then flip it and toast again, all while hoping it doesn't get too dark in the center. It's for this reason that recipe developer and cookbook author Ali Slagle calls it a toaster for toast people, and indeed, it garnered the most praise among our experts, who also include culinary producer and cookbook consultant Laura Arnold, and recipe developer and cookbook author Odette Williams. And there are quite a few additional and helpful features of this model, too. It has the delightfully named a bit more button that you can press if you just want a little extra browning without going in for a full second round. There's a lift and look lever for times when you're nervous you went too high or are trying to fine-tune the browning, says strategist senior editor Jen Trollio, who has owned a similar version of this model with the same functions for over a decade. And there's a progress bar so you can keep an eye on where in the toasting process you are. Number 4, Cuisinart Classic 2-slice toaster. The Cuisinart is a mere quarter of the price of the Breville. Recipe developer Rebecca Ferkser says that though it's nothing fancy, it does exactly what you need it to do, and does it well. The slots are about 1.5 inches across, the same thickness she usually slices bread. Still, the appliance doesn't take up her whole counter. James Beard Award-nominated journalist and strategist contributor Hannah Selina, who has the 4-slice version, uses hers every single day to make bagels and waffles for her sons. The range of darkness on this toaster is something I took note of, too. Ferkze prefers her bread charred, but not burnt, and Selina says her children like things on the blonder end of the spectrum, and the Cuisinart achieves both perfectly. Number 5. Balmuda the toaster oven. A steam toaster oven differs from a regular toaster oven in that you add water before you toast. This generates steam as it heats, keeping bread and pastries super moist, pillowy, and soft on the inside, even as they crisp on the outside. In the case of this Balmuda, the water is measured with a tiny cup, which is included with the toaster oven, via a small chamber at the top. It truly works, especially, I found, in reviving leftovers like pizza, reheating foods like empanadas, and toasting bread like pita, where in other scenarios, the center gets too crunchy. The machine has several settings for different types of breads and pastries, as well as a few exact degrees, 350, 400, and 450, for baking other types of food, and then a dial for choosing the amount of time. Food writer and editor Melissa Kravitz-Hofner says the steam effect recreates the texture of just baked bread, and recipe developer and cookbook author Seema Dada calls it a refresher for the way the steam breathes new life into days-old baked goods. Pardilla loves it for foods other than toast, too. You get the flakiest pastries, that fluffiness of a croissant, and grilled cheese with the pulliest cheeses, like those Hubba Bubba commercials. She says, to my mind, there are 2 notable downsides worth mentioning, though they may not be deal breakers for you. Depending on how you plan to use it, toast takes several minutes longer than a traditional toaster oven to crisp up, and the oven doesn't include a broil setting. One function I particularly like